Yeah.
I am back. It is Blair Dot and Haley, and we are back once again for Delgado's Tech Collab podcast. Listen, if you have missed any of the episodes so far, please make sure you check out the Delgado Tech Made Easy YouTube channel where you probably are right now watching this. Check out some of the other episodes we had last month. We had Amanda Ratcliffe of Buttery Spell and the Vaucroissants, Julie and Vance of Vaucroissant Sausage. They were all three guests were so much fun. Make sure you go check them out. Listen, I am so excited about today's show and today's guest. I was just telling her that I'll likely leave this interview hungry. We are excited, y'all, to have with us today the founder and creator of Where Black NOLA Eats. Jalence Isles is with us today, y'all. Welcome, Jalence. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Blair. Great to be with you today.
Listen, I'm excited to learn about Where Black NOLA Eats. I need to know how you guys started. You know, I always tell people, because I'm from New Orleans, my relationship with food is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And so starting something that has grown to have such a large following, thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are following and a part of this community that you founded and started around supporting Black restaurateurs and food vendors in New Orleans. How did you get started?
A good old Facebook fight. There was an argument in a Facebook group that I'm in, and people had come in town Essence weekend or 4th of July weekend 2019 asking for recommendations to Black-owned restaurants, and people got really offended by it. And the administration of the group didn't seem to know how to handle it. It was just they needed to investigate things and figure out how to, handle this situation where people were offended by a simple request. And so I started Where Black NOLA Eats.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing how one social media springs so many things, but also how filling a gap and seeing a need for something. I think I remember those initial memes that came out with the listings of Black restaurants in New Orleans that summer. Wow, did not know.
But those weren't the first ones, to be fair. I had only recently returned home. I had left after graduating from Ben Franklin. I had moved on to college, started my corporate career. And some other people had already started doing this work.
Okay.
They have been calling people out for, and I don't want to say the wrong person, but there's a Nia, Nia.
I got nothing.
I don't know what her name is.
No worries.
I don't want to say the wrong last name.
Yeah, so we don't need to name her. Don't worry about that.
Right, but no, there are people that were already doing this work, putting out, lists of Black-owned restaurants, and addressing, the blackout that would happen during Essence weekend.
Gotcha.
So,
shout out
years
to Nia,
later,
whichever Nia it is,
absolutely,
that was standing in the gap and sending out that information.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, definitely wanted to give her that credit because I haven't met her, but I heard about her and after starting this. And so I guess she was still here. I'm not sure if she's from here or not, but anyway, those lists had already started circulating. And there were some people, there was a good number of restaurants on those lists, but there have been a generous number more, that we've learned about through Where Black NOLA Eats.
Well, that's the interesting thing about, and we talk about this, especially it being Delgado's Tech Collab podcast, is how the intersection of an idea, technology and hustle can create so many extraordinary things. Talk to me about how technology and the use of social media, not only it sounds like the social media was the genesis of Where Black NOLA Eats, but it is how it has grown. Talk to us about that.
So Where Black NOLA Eats is largely social media based. It is on Facebook as a Facebook page where you'll see some of the same content that you see that I post on Instagram. But then there's also a Facebook group, and that's where all the action is for sure. There's a TikTok as well. But yeah, so I think so. It all started on Facebook. The Facebook group is now 58,000 members. We're about to reach the fourth year. Thank you. In existence. But I really think, because we are such a word of mouth community, like you mentioned your complex relationship with food, and I have one too. Like, I will not go to any place that's supposed to be like a New Orleans place or a Louisiana place if it's not here. Like, I'm not even interested in your version of it. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, like, we are very like, people are very bandwagony, I would say, about places. And, a lot, you hear a lot about places that people are very excited to go to, very excited to try. Some places that have a huge fanfare before they even get started. And then other places who get a lot of reviews in places like Where Black NOLA Eats, and may have not necessarily been the subject of a similar discussion in other places, and it helps them to grow their businesses. Mm-hmm. So that has been, just the word of mouth nature, and people sort of jumping on the bandwagon, wanting to try, what is this? Like, I really want to see for myself if it's really that good. And, seeing these lines, that people are forming to try this one particular product, it gets people really excited and wanting to see what the hype is about. And so I think, seeing all of that on social media has really, has really grown things. I would say, other than that, there have been a couple of interesting situations that have happened. Like, there was this visitor who came into town, and she had the nerve to post in Where Black NOLA Eats that she came and was not visited for 4 days and was not impressed, and it just started like the funniest response. So people really able to run for her money.
No, I'm sure we are. If nothing else, we are loyal and defensive.
Very.
Like, it's almost this thing of it's very family like, right? Like, we can talk about each other and the stuff and whatever, but you let somebody else come in and try to say the same thing, and everybody
they can't do it.
Record scratch. What is happening now? What are you doing? What's going on? No.
That's actually that's an interesting, and that's one way you could think about Where Black NOLA Eats. Like, somebody might have an issue with the certain local business, and it's a local person, and they feel very, very, very strongly about expressing their opinion. But this person comes into Where Black NOLA Eats and expresses, a similar and very generic opinion, and they lit the lady on fire, but it also lit the group on fire. So things like, all of the rallying after George Floyd's death in 2020 brought a lot of growth to the group. Yes. The Black Lives Matter movement, things like that fight where everybody from the city wanted to join in. Right. It was like getting posted on TikTok, and a huge, everybody missed work for a couple of days over that.
That's hilarious. I hope nobody lost their job playing around.
Somebody lost. Listen, I don't know, but I know everybody was distracted. I was comments and posts for days related to that incident.
So this is what I got to ask you right now. What are some of your favorite places to eat that you've learned about in your own group?
I would say, man, I've learned about so many places in Where Black NOLA Eats. Like when people post, I'm like, oh, I gotta go there, but my favorites, Munch Factory is ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
So good. I love Aphrodisiac Nola. Loretta's is a classic. I didn't learn about Loretta's through Where Black NOLA Eats, though.
Okay.
I knew about Loretta's before Where Black NOLA Eats.
Yeah.
Same thing for Her Dad Kitchen. That was one of the places that I really like to go before I even started Where Black NOLA Eats. I don't know. So many places.
Listen, y'all. I can vouch. Jalence has great taste. All of those places that she named are amazing food. Shout out to the folks that we know at all of those places. So it's festival season. I got to ask you about festival season. I saw a post that you made where you have already got started. I was drooling at that post that you made. I think that was French Quarter Fest.
It was.
And so talk to us about what festival season means for Where Black NOLA Eats and what you are most looking forward to.
Well, I will just say in general, let's just talk about how many festivals New Orleans has, right? New Orleans is probably the festival capital of the world. We have so many festivals that I think if they were spread out, we would have one every day. So a lot of our Black-owned restaurants have not had much prominence on this large event and festival scene is what I like to call it. There are some barriers to entry, right? It can cost a pretty penny to be a vendor in some of these restaurants. It requires experience. So probably, when you don't have 20 years of experience, it's hard to even jump into these festivals as they grow, because they definitely do. So it's hard to grow with the festivals. But what I'm looking forward to is the Black-owned restaurants that have broken through those barriers and who are killing it on the scene. Like the restaurants that I posted during French Quarter Festival were killing it. Like those pictures that I took, if it's the post I'm thinking about, were from the Sunday evening or afternoon of French Quarter Festival, which is when, basically they had, if they were playing it safe, they could have all been sold out, right? But they were rocking and rolling to the very end. And their products were great. And they were in it to win it. You know what I mean? They took the risk. They figured out how to, come up with those funds. Some of them may have closed their restaurants for, to prepare for it, because the opportunity was that lucrative for them. Others were able to assemble teams where they were able to participate in the festival and keep their business going, which is definitely a challenge in where it's just difficult to keep a full team because there are a lot of job openings out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more and more Black-owned businesses on the festival scene. They are bringing some very unique offerings. They are diversifying. We talk about, or they talk about diversity is all of a sudden become this overused term because it's profitable, right? If you go to Fried Chicken Festival and you're the only bread pudding vendor, you're going to kill it, right? So diversity in race, of course, but much more than that, in product and offerings and in ability to serve different demographics and
Yeah.
and just being nimble, you know what I mean? And being able to respond to the market. So just seeing how our Black owned businesses are showing up in that way.
I want to shout out because we did have them on, as I mentioned earlier, the Vaux Croissants, who are original vendors for the Jazz Festival and original vendors for the French Quarter Festival, and are still going strong, keeping their family legacy alive in the festival.
Yes.
Shout out to the Vaux Croissants. And I pulled up one of those posts from French Quarter Festival on Where Black NOLA Eats. And I just want to shout out Addis NOLA, Cafe Dauphine, 14 Parishes, Off the Eaten Path NOLA, Heard That, Loretta's, Monday NOLA. It looks like you had a variety, Buku NOLA, you had a Buku Local, I'm sorry, you had a variety of delicious food from Black folks at French Quarter Festival. So this is what I need you to tell everybody. Tell everybody again, where are all the places that they can engage the Where Black NOLA Eats community?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not so much, and TikTok.
All right, and every
one more place.
Where Black NOLA, Where Black NOLA Eats.
Yes, and if you know if you're not active on social media, you can join our email list at Jalence at theblackpatron.com. Jalence, JALENCE at theblackpatron, PATRON.com. Fun fact, someone bought the Where Black NOLA Eats domain as soon as I started the Facebook group. So they knew how valuable Where Black NOLA Eats would be. I have recently purchased the domain, so I will be changing all of that. But you can reach me at Jalence at theblackpatron.com, and that's on all of the social channels if you need any help finding that.
Jalence, thank you so much, not only for the work that you are doing to support, uplift, and give light to Black restaurants and restaurateurs and chefs in New Orleans, but what you're doing for the community who needs to be nourished by that amazing food. So thank you so much for what you have started and continue to build. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit with us, to sit with me for this. Listen, folks, I'll be back with another amazing guest sometime very, very soon. In the meantime, do a couple things. Follow Delgado Tech Made Easy on Instagram. Find us on YouTube, subscribe so that you can see all of these episodes as I sit down with some of New Orleans and Louisiana's finest folks to learn about their work. Also, take advantage of Delgado's IT Workforce Development Program. There are all types of certifications, classes that are available for folks who are interested in taking their IT careers to the next level. Please find them at www.dcc.edu/go/IT. Listen, Jalence, thank you again for spending this time with me. As we depart, what do you want to leave with the people?
Some statistics that I think everybody should know. Really quickly, New Orleans is more than 59% Black, or it is 59% Black. More than half of our small businesses are minority owned, but we are only recognizing 2% of all small business income that comes into the city.
Wow.
So
it's sobering.
By Black owned.
Yeah, that's sobering. Thank you, Jalence, and thank you for closing with that important information that we should all let resonate with us and sit with us.
Yes.
Be well,
Thank
everyone.
you for having me, Blair.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. Everybody, we'll be back very soon with another incredible guest. Until then, please be well.